Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not.
We know people miss the Avengers and we miss the Avengers, but we knew if we jumped right back into the Avengers after Endgame, we wouldn't give people a chance to miss it.
It has been almost 6 years since the Avengers broke up following the defeat of Thanos and the death of Tony Stark. But it was only a matter of time until the world needed its mightiest heroes once again. With new Avengers movies coming in 2026 and 2027, the MCU needs to reassemble the team pretty quickly. Thankfully, the first step in recruiting the next version of the Avengers begins in Captain America: Brave New World.
Captain America. You ever ask yourself, who's playing who?
I think the best Avengers teams, even in publishing, have Captain America at the center. And so we had to sort of wait to start exploring Sam Wilson really to explore the Avengers, and it became the perfect time, to be honest.
At the end of Avengers Endgame, Steve Rogers handed his shield over to Sam Wilson, and the former Falcon became the new Captain America. It's not a role Wilson took on easily, and the 6-part Disney Plus show The Falcon and the Winter Soldier explored his struggles with that transition. By the events of Brave New World though, Sam wears the red, white and blue with pride. But just as he has overcome the challenge of becoming Captain America, he's presented with a whole new, more daunting task: to become the leader of a new Avengers team.
I want you, Captain America, to help me rebuild the Avengers.
Brave New World's opening act sees Harrison Ford's President Thaddeus Ross ask Wilson to restart the Avengers project. Long-term fans may understandably be a little confused by this. Ross, who was previously played in the MCU by William Hurt, is the man who established the Sokovia Accords, the Superhero Registration Act that caused a civil war. So why would the man infamous for splitting up the Avengers want to see them reassembled?
The Ross that we knew historically, going back to Incredible Hulk in 2008, and certainly versions of him that we saw across the years in the MCU, his nickname was Thunderbolt. You know, he had a thunderous temper. He was a guy who hunted Hulks. He was a guy who had this real legacy that could maybe be defined by his anger. But the man that we're meeting now is a man who is an elder statesman, who's a diplomat, who's turning a new leaf, who sees and understands the errors of his past and wants to do better. And in doing that, initiating the Avengers is because they could be a benefit to the world.
Of course, President Ross doesn't plan to recreate the Avengers exactly as they once were. Captain America is now an official agent of the United States government, and so his Avengers team would also effectively be a branch of the US Defense Department.
Thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
He is the man who passed the Sokovia Accords. He certainly realized that the Avengers left unchecked, it may not be the best idea for anyone. But I think he also has to realize, as anyone in the MCU would, at some point, the heroes are going to get together again. Why not get them together under the auspices of the President of the United States, rather than leave them to their own devices? He'd rather not have to pass the Sokovia Accords Part 2, if you will. And so, yes, I certainly think he understands that power is more beneficial to him if it's under his command, and he figures, why not do it first before somebody beats me to the punch?
But President Ross presumably isn't interested in reassembling the Avengers because he knows they're needed for a couple of films in the future. The more likely explanation for Ross's sudden interest in a superhero team is the discovery of a world-changing substance. Remember the Celestial that was turned to stone at the end of Eternals? Well, the MCU's scientists have discovered it's a source of adamantium, Marvel's best-known supermetal, and a precious alternative to Wakanda's heavily defended vibranium.
I mean, there's so many implications to a new technology like this emerging, and in some ways it ties into why this movie is called Brave New World, right? A technology that could have both incredibly positive implications and also potentially destructive or negative implications.
With this miracle metal just sitting out there in the ocean, it's open season for every nation on Earth. So if there's about to be an adamantium arms race, it makes sense to have a few superheroes on your side.
I think certainly any nation that has a group of Avengers has a leg up over anyone else, right? And Ross is a general, so certainly he understands what a tactical advantage is.
The country needs this.
And when we disagree on how to manage a situation, what happens then?
If there is an underlying motive to this new Avengers team, it means that the working relationship between President Ross and Sam Wilson's Captain America isn't likely to be smooth sailing. Not that this was going to be an easy partnership to begin with, of course.
I really focused on the emotional journey that Sam was taking, and it was really cool to then put him opposite somebody who had divided the Avengers in the past, in Thaddeus Ross. And the mistrust that occurs between them because of that history. Sam was put into prison, the Sokovia Accords, all the stuff that Ross pushed forward as Secretary of State. These are things that when these two men walk into a room, that tension between them is palpable.
All that considered, it's very possible that Sam Wilson is not the man President Ross is looking for. And so who will run this government-owned and operated Avengers team if not Captain America? The answer may lie in 2025's second MCU project, Thunderbolts, which arrives just a few months after Brave New World. Thunderbolts features a ragtag team of anti-heroes including John Walker, the man who took up the mantle of Captain America in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, only to violently disgrace the legacy Steve Rogers left behind. Perhaps it will be Walker and his morally flexible companions who actually become the President's Avengers then. Ross's nickname is Thunderbolt after all.
Look at you. So adorable.
If that's how things play out, Wilson would be free to set up his own independent team of superheroes, just in time for the imminent arrival of Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom in 2026's Avengers Doomsday. But regardless of the details, Brave New World acts as the next step on the road that Wilson began the moment he took up the shield, the inevitable path to becoming the leader of the Avengers.
To get the opportunity to do this is something that's really, really cool. Historically, the Avengers have been led by a Captain America, and Sam Wilson is very much so a worthy one. But part of telling this story is also reinforcing, illustrating, dramatizing for an audience why. Sam's superpower is his empathy. I think that's what makes him a Captain America of this moment. And that's why the theme of this movie is leaning into empathy. Be willing to put yourself in another person's shoes and understand where their perspective might be coming from, you know? And the beauty of somebody like Sam leading the Avengers is that's a natural gift and talent that he brings. And I think what's so exciting about this film is you see how that leadership from Sam ultimately will pay off in the story.
And I think this movie explores Sam coming to grips with the fact that while he is Captain America, that doesn't mean everybody thinks he's Steve's equal. And I think that's an interesting place to put a character who, by his very nature, is a counselor and understands the psychology of others, having to come to grips with how he feels about something in a real way. Because I don't think Sam would be prepared to lead the Avengers until he truly believed that he was Captain America. And our goal as filmmakers then was to take him on a journey of questioning whether or not he made the right decision, and then hopefully by the end, having him and the audience go, there certainly could be no one else. He is Captain America. And that hopefully he takes the tools from this movie to be able to lead the Avengers, but we'll see what happens next.
For more from the MCU, take a look at why Captain America Brave New World is actually a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, and our breakdown of the new Fantastic Four First Steps trailer. And for everything else, stick with IGN.